unless a woman can shapeshift, Richard James ain't interested.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James, and Chris Dale.
Hello.
Hello, Richard.
Well, look at you all shiny like a new penny.
I'm not
full
at all.
of joy. And
No,
what?
no, don't
Don't
lie
lie.
to anyone. I'm quite tired.
Yes, you look a bit tired.
Thanks very much. You flatter me.
Oh, where have you been then?
I've been all over the place.
Well-
I've been across the pond.
In fact, I think eagle-eyed viewers might have spotted in last week's podcast
Yes.
that you were our roving reporter, Jamie Anderson, was actually a roving reporter.
For a change, rather than being sat in my office in Wales. No, I was in San Diego in California
Yes.
for Comic-Con.
Yes? How did it go?
It went very well. It was great.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people who work in the industry, comics and TV and film and toys,
Yeah.
who were inspired by the worlds of Anderson.
Right.
So it was really lovely.
Made you feel good?
Yeah, in fact, I met the producer of Toys That Made Us and Movies That Made Us on Netflix.
Right.
And he's an enormous Space 1999 fan, so that was lovely.
Ah.
So, yes, I had a great time.
Excellent.
But I am freshly back after 2 red-eye flights and feeling a little worse for wear.
Well, you've only got yourself to blame, haven't you?
No, only myself, but it's fine because luckily I've got a fantastic co-host. No, it is you,
Oh,
Richard James.
me,
I haven't
yes.
got the energy to be cruel.
No.
And so you're going to carry me through this.
Am I? As usual. Anyway, we've charged in like a herd of buffalo without even so much as a by your leave. I think we should introduce ourselves to our viewers and listeners.
Fine. I am the highly fatigued Jamie Anderson.
Very good. And I'm the fresh as a daisy, Richard James.
But also,
Yes.
we're joined by our dear friend,
Yes.
the Randomiser himself, sitting over there. It's Chris Dale.
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Ah, there he is. Also looking fresh as a daisy.
Yes.
Do you know what, though? He's got the best job of all of us, hasn't he? Because he gets to sit and watch some Gerry Anderson.
Oh, I see. Not like
Imagine-
the rest of us doing some work over here.
I know.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome to the Gerry Anderson podcast. We're here for the next hour and a half or so, talking all things Gerry Anderson.
Yeah, but there is a structure to those things. The same structure pretty much every week. And I thought for a change,
Yeah.
we could deliver said structure
no.
in the style
Go on.
of an improvised comedy duo alternating words.
Okay, who's going to go first?
First,
We,
have
the
usual,
Gubbins,
which
is
Fab,
Facts,
which
is
Richard's
favourite
thing,
of
his.
life.
Then,
After
facts,
we
have
the
Gerry.
Anderson,
Newsy.
because, news.
News.
All right.
Good. Also,
Following,
news,
we
have
the
Podsterons who write
in
every
week
for
there.
sins.
And
Finally,
we
are
going
to
be
joined
by
Chris
no Dale,
and
his
Randomiser
but
before
that
there
will
be
the
interview
with
Nigel
Planer.
Done.
God, that was so tense. That was so tense.
That was the most stressful thing.
No, let's never do that
Never
again.
do it again.
That was
Oh.
almost as stressful as when Charlotte and I were out in our car, our EV, this weekend, and we got
Yes.
down to 2% battery.
Oh, there's nothing like battery anxiety.
So tense. Anyway, yeah, so all of that coming up on Pod 268 of the Gerry Anderson
If
podcast.
anyone is still listening at this stage,
I know,
yes.
it's strange, isn't it? Yeah, so there we go. Do let us know what you think of... we've only been on video for the last 4 podcasts or so. Let us know what you think by emailing us at podcast@gerryanderson.com. Do you like the way we look on screen? Do you like the lighting?
Do you like the way we sound on screen?
The decor?
Yes.
What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Don't be harsh. Let us know.
I've seen a lot of positive comments, people saying they're very happy to see us as well as hear us. But if you want to just still hear us, then we're doing that now.
Absolutely right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, there we are. Yeah.
Would you like me to dive straight in with your favourite thing of your life, allegedly, now?
I can't really regret saying that.
Yeah?
Yeah, go on.
Good. Then here's this week's Fab Facts.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
I've got my book of Fab Facts.
Oh, yes.
And inside are some facts. But to get to those facts, we must flick very carefully with my flicking thumb. Right here.
Yes.
And you're all going to shout Fab at a random point, right? Because that's how this bit of the show goes.
I know, I've done it before.
Are you ready with your Fab?
Born ready.
I've got my book of Fab Facts.
Okay.
So here we go.
Fab!
Oh, oops. Oh,
What?
Sorry.
Minute.
That was just a little...
Really?
It's just a slip of the thumb. These things happened.
Do that indeed.
Richard.
Yes.
In your professional experience,
how
true is the old theatrical saying, never work with Jamie Anderson? No, sorry.
Yes,
never
very true.
work with children or animals.
Or just never work in my professional experience. Children or animals? No, that's what they say, isn't it? Yes.
You had any bad experiences with either? Both?
Not that I'm willing to talk about on camera.
Good. Okay, well, let's move on then, because today's Fab Fact looks at filming the Space 1999 episode The Metamorph.
I know it well.
And a certain four-legged guest star.
Who could that be?
Well, it was the lion that Maya transformed into several times during the episode.
Right.
Or should we say lions?
Should we say that?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
yes.
Well, I don't know.
Because, as is not uncommon for television and film productions, several different animals played the role of Lioness Maya.
Okay.
However, each one presented its own problems.
Contracts, agents, Winnebagos.
But as well as those, the first lion was very quickly ushered off the set because he was somewhat uncontrollable.
Is that a euphemism?
Maybe.
Right.
The second lion may have been slightly better behaved, but unfortunately, he had toothache.
Oh,
so I had to cry off.
A lion with toothache.
Very sad. But if you'll forgive us for making this sound a bit like the story of Goldilocks, the third lion was
Just right.
Just right. Well done, yes. In fact, he was slightly more than all right. He was quite keen to make friends. Right. This culminated in a moment during shooting where the lion got up, wandered over to the stills photographer and put his paws up on the man's shoulders.
Wow.
Fortunately, events did not spiral out of hand, but it shows that they very easily could have done had the lion decided that the stills photographer would have made a good snack.
Oh, I thought it was like, give us a kiss. I thought it was that sort of thing.
It wasn't that sort of friendly.
It was after a bit of lunch, I see.
Well, no, don't worry.
Not even that.
Dad himself also had an encounter with one of these lions.
Right.
His accounts of the meeting vary, but in his biography, What Made Thunderbirds Go, he says that he opened his office door and the lion just happened to be right outside.
Really?
However, in the Making of Space 1999 book, he says that he met the lion while waiting in the lobby at Pinewood when it was being looked after by a technician who had just taken delivery of it.
More likely, I would say, yes.
But who swore that the lion was totally safe because that's what the guy who dropped it off 5 minutes before had said.
Oh, yeah. I was totally safe, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lion and everything.
It's one of the safest lions you'll ever meet.
Oh, safe lions? You ain't seen nothing like this one.
Well, if you look at the picture gallery for the Metamorph on the Blu-rays,
Yes.
there's also a picture of a smaller cat, possibly an ocelot.
Right.
Or a carousel?
Carousel?
Carousel? Caramac? Yeah, one of those, lounging on one of Mentor's control consoles. So either that was an additional Maya transformation that wasn't used in the final episode, or they tried at some stage to go with a slightly smaller one that was perhaps more manageable.
Right.
Regardless of what stage of production the smaller cat was hired at, or where exactly Dad met his lion, he was so concerned that he contacted circus owner Jimmy Chipperfield and asked how safe all this really was, only to be told there's no such thing as a tame cat.
What? I've lost track. I don't know what's going on now.
Well, nor me. Let's carry on. Accordingly, Dad then drew up a list of 7 safety precautions that were to be followed at all times whenever an animal was on set in order to protect both human performers and animal performers.
And they were?
I don't have the list.
Oh.
But it was to protect them from harm. And this memo was circulated to all departments, and it was dated the 13th of February 1976 and was simply named Animals. Yeah. A lot of these rules were fairly obvious, like have as few people on set as possible when animals are around.
Sure.
Have a suitable cage on standby at all times.
Sure. For Martin Landau.
I was going to say same for the podcast.
Yeah.
And oh yes, don't bring them into the studio via the front door. Have them wait in the lobby.
What? Why can't you bring them in through the front door?
I don't know. It just goes to show that even in the mid-1970s, safety precautions were not quite as thought through, perhaps, as they are today. And even though some viewers might wail about health and safety gone mad, it's probably just better off, really, that these things are done the way they are now, rather than risking the staff of Pinewood Studios being eaten by rampaging lions.
Now, Jamie, I think that even you lost confidence halfway through that very long Fab Fact.
It was very long and very liony.
Yeah, is there an exhaustive list somewhere of the creatures and things that Maya turns into during the second series of Space 1999?
I mean, I'm not sure there is one. Yes,
did
perhaps
she
there
ever,
should be.
Did she ever change into an inanimate object, or was it always an animal or creature of some sort?
Do you know, I don't even know.
Let's find out.
But sadly, Chris Dale has just popped off to the loo, so we can't even ask him over on the sofa there.
We can't even ask Chris. I tell you who we could ask.
Podsterons.
And there they are. Email us podcast@gerryanderson.com. Put in the subject line, Maya.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
That
You know, I
was-
just plucked that out of the air. That's
Yeah.
genius, isn't it?
That's serious genius
Because
right
I
there.
bet one of you, if they haven't done it already, will now take the opportunity to watch Series 2 of Space 1999 and write down, especially for me, everything that Maya turns into, and I shall read it out in a future podcast.
Well, I can't wait for that. And I hope you'll do an impression of each of the animals or creatures too.
I will try my best.
Good. Something to look forward to there.
Yes.
Right, I think that was very odd.
It was.
Quite feline.
Feeling good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah.
And that brings us very clunkily to the end of this week's
Lion Fact! Oh, that's the first time in a long time.
There weren't many options there, though, were they?
That was quite narrow, wasn't it? Yeah, that's true. Right, an interesting one. Maya was one of my favourite characters from the whole of Space 1999.
Why was that, Richard James?
There was something of the exotic about her, I suppose. And, of course, the whole shape-shifting thing is very attractive.
Is it?
I don't mean attractive as in, I mean to oneself. I don't mean I found her attractive because she could turn into other things. I just mean that was a power that I would wish to have.
Unless a woman can shapeshift, Richard James ain't interested.
You're listening, of course, to the Gerry Anderson podcast. Don't forget, you can still subscribe to us. Just because we've gone to video doesn't mean to say you can't subscribe to us on whichever platform you listen to us on, or even on YouTube.
It means you can subscribe on multiple platforms.
That's right, exactly.
For multiple mediums.
Yeah, quite right too. Also, don't be afraid to leave us some reviews and some ratings, or revatings, as we like to call them, and let us know how we're doing. And why not, every week, just copy that link and post it to all your social media profiles so all your friends know that you, yes, you, are listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Yeah, just spam your friends.
They'll love you forever. Yeah. So now they know what to do, I think it's probably time for some very exciting Gerry Anderson news.
Can't guarantee it's exciting, but yes, over to me in the studio for this week's Gerry Anderson news. Hello Podsterons, this is Jamie Anderson bringing you the latest updates from Anderson Entertainment. There's plenty to share, so let's get right to it. First up, the original soundtrack CD for Gerry Anderson A Life Uncharted is now available for exclusive pre-order from the Gerry Anderson store. Composed by Crispin Morel and featuring specially selected introductions to each track from Dad himself, this emotive soundtrack is sure to enrich your understanding of his life and his career too. Look out for its release in mid-August. Our new range of mini-album style releases are now shipping. You can get your hands on Stingray Terrafake, Fireball XL5 Cloud of a Billion Lights, and Captain Scarlet Martian Menace, all available in stylish retro card sleeves. Just as a reminder, time is running out to back the second issue of Spectrum on Kickstarter, a comic featuring new stories from New Captain Scarlet, Terrorhawks and Space Precinct. But hurry, the campaign closes tomorrow, Tuesday the 1st of August at 10 PM, so don't miss out. In other news, our warehouse move has finally wrapped up and we've uncovered some products that were previously believed to be out of stock. Keep an eye out for a warehouse finds email coming this Wednesday to your inbox. Over on our YouTube channel, you might have missed a couple of interesting videos. The Making of Space Patrol features Roberta Lee and Arthur Provis and celebrates our upcoming release of this non-Anderson puppet classic on Blu-ray. Additionally, Ed Bishop shares his opinions on where UFO went wrong. It's a divisive topic, but do you agree or disagree with Commander Straker's own views on the show? Looking ahead to August, there's a lot to be excited about. Space Patrol will be landing on Blu-ray. Gerry Anderson: A Life Uncharted will be releasing on CD. The long-awaited Joe 90 technical manual begins shipping, and we'll be revealing some secrets of an underappreciated Anderson gem. Stay tuned for these and more updates next week, but for now, and from all of us at Anderson Entertainment, I've been Jamie Anderson, wishing you a week filled with adventure. Stand by for action. Back to you in the studio.
That was the news. That was the news. Yeah, by popular demand.
Beautiful.
By very popular demand.
Mostly from me.
I have been inundated with you saying last time that I should sing that.
Yes.
I thought I'd sing it.
I'm very glad to hear it again.
Now, some other things that you might be glad to hear about, or rather from, are our wonderful Podsterons.
I'm always glad to hear from a Podsteron.
Shall we open the fridge door and let the cold air out?
Or in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is the voice of the Podsterons.
Yes, it's the voice of the wonderful Podsterons, our lovely listeners and viewers. There they are, who've been emailing us in their droves.
At podcast@gerryanderson.com.
Very good. Now, do you remember when Lee Sullivan was with us?
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I do. It was quite recently.
It was fairly
Yeah.
recently. And you posed the question, why did you call Lee Uncle Rubbish?
Yes. Well, he told me to, that's why.
Oh, okay, I see why. Never had an original thought in your life, have you? Jeff Webb has got in touch. Lee is referring to a character from the Grumbleweeds radio show. He was played by the late Graham Walker and was a rather sad chap in the show, peddling misremembered nostalgia, a bit like the Gerry Anderson podcast. In the show, he fronted the Tiny Tots Tea Time. I think there's 3 times there.
Yeah.
His nemesis was another character called Uncle Nasty.
Ooh.
That could be me.
Yeah, it could be, couldn't it?
Who would go ahead and terrify Uncle Rubbish every week. It was alleged that the good uncle was based on the TV presenter Derek Beatty, but don't quote me in court. Regards, Jeff Webb, who seems to insinuate that there's going to be some sort of court case against him for even suggesting that.
I wonder what he's been up to.
With Derek Beatty.
Naughty
Yeah.
Jeff.
Very strange. So there we go, that's that cleared up.
Yes, thank you very much.
Uncle Rubbish
Because
from the
even Lee
Gumbleweeds.
couldn't remember why he'd called himself Uncle Rubbish and told me to call him that.
There you go.
Good. Well, I've got one here.
Oh, good.
From Bucky749 of the
Right.
749 dynasty, as
I
you know.
see. Is that the Norfolk 479s?
It is, yeah,
Oh, I see,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, you probably met them. Bucky749 says, I hope this email reaches you, as I tried once before, but it did not go through.
Bucky749. Here we are talking to you.
Here it is.
And at you and about you.
My YouTube channel is Bucky749.
See what you did there.
My nickname
Is?
is American Samurai.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting that. I started with Terrorhawks audio dramas, and then everything took off from there.
Tell me about it.
My brother, who you may call by his nickname Iceman. This family is very cool. American Samurai and Iceman
Love it.
is a big Thunderbirds and Space Precinct fan.
Ah, well.
Also, we've done several Gerry Anderson related reviews on our YouTube channel, Bucky749.
Great.
Have a great time. FAB, yours truly,
Bucky749. Fantastic. Thanks for getting in touch. I like that.
Thank you.
People reviewing Gerry Anderson stuff on YouTube is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, it's all out there. Let's hear what you think.
Please do it.
Like that. Hail the high priests of the Gubbins. May you bless us with clammy ears, says James Munro.
Just the one.
Just the one clammy ear. Just been doing some catch-ups with the podcast, says James. I hope everyone had a fantastic time in Leicester. Well, we did, actually, as it happens. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but it was nice to hear the call-out to those who couldn't make it in the live podcast. Yeah, we did that.
Oh, that was one of our lovely Podsterons who suggested we do that.
Oh, there we are. Instead, I rewatched the Stand By for Action concert. Well,
Great choice.
that sounds like a much better evening, to be fair. Bringing back memories of that great weekend, but it also started a train of thought.
Uh-oh.
At the end of the concert, the UFI title theme was given an encore, but the singers added a funky doobie-doo to the mix.
Did they?
It got me wondering about other and themes that would go well with some added choral parts. Also, in brackets, says James, weren't we promised a Space Precinct choral version? Where is it?
I don't think he wrote it quite like that.
Well, that's how I'm saying it.
Yeah.
That's how I imagine he would say it.
Okay.
Accusatory. Weren't we promised that?
I don't remember that, but maybe, yes.
Okay, thinking about these possibilities, a few did spring to mind, like Space 1999 Year 1 as a choral version. That would work. Or the end titles of Joe 90. Incidentally, my phone loves Joe 90, says James. Whenever
Really?
I play the concert soundtrack on shuffle, it always plays the 4 Joe 90 tracks within the first third.
Spooky.
But the music I'd like to hear with a choral part more than any isn't a main theme, but an incidental track from new Captain Scarlet.
This is very niche, isn't it?
That's what we're here for. The track is All in Vain, the theme for the pirate captain in the episode Fallen Angels. But the part I always associate with it is the episode Touch of the Reaper, in what is my favourite scene from the show. It plays as the Mysteronized Dr. King, infected by a Mysteronized virus, is slowly reaching through the sky base's holding cell force field towards Scarlet and White, followed by one of the few direct Mysteron threats in the series. The music already feels like it should have a choral element, and in this scene, with Dr. King's eyes glowing with Mysteron energy, a choir voice could have been the voice of the Mysterons. Anyway, that's enough mad ramblings for now. His words, not mine. I'm not passing any judgment. Good luck with the new format, though by the time I send this, you'll probably have done at least one.
Or 4.
Wishing all the best, James Munro. P.S. I managed to get through a whole email without mentioning audio dramas. Oh, blast! Blew it.
So close, James.
Wow, he did go quite deep there into the need for more choral music in certain scenes of New Captain Scarlet.
Well, and other choral versions. Well, if you recall from our interview with Joe Kramer...
Oh, yes.
Several tens of pods ago, I can't remember the number.
Years ago.
Joe explained that he'd been experimenting quite a lot with synth syllables of choral work.
Oh, yes.
So they'll record each syllable and then you can piece together bits and pieces.
Right.
So it's becoming more affordable and more accessible.
Wow.
So, I mean, never say never. I don't remember saying ever to a Space Precinct choral version, but, that could be the jet lag talking.
Yeah, someone will have the voice clip somewhere and it'll be
dear.
played back to you at a future event.
Okay.
And you will eat your words.
Yes. I'm happy to do that. Do you want one from me?
Have you got one?
I've got one.
Well, let's hear it then.
Martin Laybourne writes...
Ah, yes.
Hello, chaps.
Hello, Martin.
As I was looking forward to seeing Jamie's appearance on Talking Pictures TV, The Footage Detectives, which I was on a few weeks ago, I tuned in early. And
Not the
watched
Foolish Detectives, was that?
The Footage
beg
Detectives,
your pardon.
thank you.
Yeah.
I tuned in early and watched the 1953 war film Appointment in London.
Oh.
Do you know that one?
I don't.
Well, Martin does now.
Is it about an appointment in London?
But yeah, that's the one.
I've
You have
seen
seen
it,
it, yeah. Martin continues, like I always do, I read the credits at the end to see if there could be a link to the worlds of Gerry Anderson. Maybe a young actor starting out, perhaps later appearing in an Anderson live-action show?
Yep.
Well, would you believe it? There was a link.
Oh, was it Shane Rimmer? It's always Shane Rimmer.
The great man himself, none other than a Mr. Gerald Anderson.
Really?
Dubbing editor.
Oh.
Yes. One of his credits, I believe. There you go.
Yes. Wow.
Now, Martin has written this. I'm not making it up,
Right.
just so you know.
Why, what's coming?
Jamie, your performance was excellent. So there's no need to worry on how you perform on your visual podcast. This one.
Were you worried?
Well, I am now, which I imagine you will have a couple under your belt by the time Richard reads this out. Well, I'm reading it out, Martin, just to
Yes.
throw things for a thing there.
Right.
For a, what's
Through a
the
thing?
word?
Over a thing? Through a hoop?
Let's just carry on.
Okay.
If I've chosen the right day, I hope to see you at the Talking Pictures TV event in Monmouth. All the best, Martin. Now, Martin, of course, you didn't see me there because I had to go to Comic-Con instead. So you were in Monmouth and I was in San Diego.
Oh, how
Sorry.
could you do that?
I didn't do it on
Letting
purpose.
people down like that.
I felt bad enough already without you saying that.
Great, nice. Talking Pictures. So what did you do? What was the Footage Detectives? What were you talking
What do
about?
you mean? Have you not watched it?
No, I can't get it.
You can't get Talking
No,
Pictures.
because we're in a valley and our aerial isn't tall enough and we can't get Talking Pictures.
You know there's a catch-up service called Talking Pictures TV Encore.
Yeah, but that would be on my iPad or something, wouldn't it?
Well, you can get it. Anyway, it's where they'll look into found footage, which could be old home video stuff from the 50s, 60s, before or after, interesting bits of documentary, etc. And our Footage Detectives piece was about Fireball XL5 and some of that brilliant interview stuff with Dad.
Oh, lovely.
It was a very jolly time. I sat between Mike and Noel on the biscuits.
Yeah, oh, great.
They have
Excellent.
biscuits between them. And,
Oh, I see.
and if you sit in the middle, then people say that you sat on the biscuits.
You sat on the biscuits. You had to be there,
I
obviously.
didn't sit on any biscuits.
Talking of Talking Pictures TV, aren't you looking forward to seeing Thunderbirds?
I know, I can't believe it. That is brilliant. So if you don't know Podsterons already, Talking Pictures Television are going to be showing Thunderbirds from the 30th of September, which is Thunderbirds Day.
Wonderful.
And it's the first time it's been broadcast on British television for 15 years.
Is it?
Yeah,
By Jove.
and we had basically been told it was never going to get a broadcast again.
Yeah.
So to have one
Yeah.
on free-to-air television,
Yes.
which Richard can't get,
Yes.
is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited.
I need to move, and then I'll be all right.
Yeah, just move house. Perfect.
Yeah, it's no problem. All for now. Keep them coming in. I mean, shall I say the address again? I should imagine they know it by now.
Podcast
At
GerryAnderson.com.
gerryanderson.com.
Well done.
We'll read out your emails next time.
We said we wouldn't do that again.
Well, it's quite fun, though, isn't it? Yeah. Coming up a little later on, of course, we have the Randomiser from Chris Dale, whereby he sits down in front of the wonderful Randomiser. It's an actual machine. Who knew that?
Can I? Oh, wait, I won't get it.
Okay.
I'll break everything.
It's too heavy.
It is lovely,
It's
though.
very heavy. But before the Randomiser, it's time to welcome another guest. But this time, he's not even on Jeff Tracy's sofa.
Why not?
I'm mixing things up a bit, Jamie. We're reserving Jeff Tracy's sofa for the Randomiser.
Okay.
Which means that I am shortly to be sitting round this very table with a TV and film legend.
Gosh.
Ready?
Yeah.
He's been part of our cultural landscape since the 1980s with his work with the Comic Strip Presents and the Young Ones. Since then, he's made countless TV and film appearances, written books, audio dramas and music, as well as a recent podcast reacquainting us with his actor alter ego Nicholas Craig. But does he know his supercar from his Scarlet? It's Nigel Planer! Now, Nigel, last time we met, you were wearing a big walrus moustache. and
Well, I was sporting
Yes.
a walrus moustache. It was real. It wasn't a stick-on.
That's right.
Spent weeks growing it.
It's very effective.
It was right out to there.
It was lovely. Big old
Yeah.
handlebar.
I
And
enjoyed having that.
I
My
was-
wife didn't enjoy having me with a big moustache, but
Yeah.
I did.
And I was dressed as a nurse.
You were a nurse,
So it's a
among
wonder.
other roles. Were you not?
I was the gravedigger. And
Gravedigger, that was
this
it, yeah.
was a production of Grandpa's Great Escape.
That's right.
David Williams.
In Stadia, like in Wembley and
Yeah.
places like
Glasgow,
that. Huge.
Newcastle. Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Now, welcome to Slough.
It's just a pleasure to
What
be
can I say?
here.
You're welcome to it.
Yes.
Did you notice Station Jim on your way here?
Station Jim, what's that?
Station Jim is a dog at the railway station who, in the late 1800s, would cruise around the platforms with a collection box around his neck, collecting money for charity. And he's since been stuffed and preserved in a case on platform 5.
No, I didn't notice that.
Have a look on your way home.
Platform 5.
That's it.
Station Jim. No, I didn't. I
Right,
didn't.
there. Every day's a school day. Now, Nigel, actor, author, playwright, musician, I could go on. How do you see yourself?
I try not to look, really. I just try and keep interested in things. I think it's really important to stay interested in things.
Yeah.
And I seem to have done an awful lot of things. Probably not, people who concentrate on one thing tend to get really, really good at it, don't they?
Uh-huh.
And if there's anything wrong with my approach, it's that you're never really the expert in anything.
But it sustained a very eclectic career from the outside, at least. It looks that way.
Yes, yeah, no, I mean, I've got sort of quick ability to pick up the early stages of stuff.
Uh-huh. You're canny.
I'm canny like that, but I got to like with languages, I'm quite good at picking up the early stages.
Uh-huh.
But to get really fluent in a language, I'm learning. I try and learn that. At the moment, I'm learning Spanish, but I've learned other languages in the past.
Yeah.
And the first year, I feel, hey, I'm good at this because I get an accent and I'm fluent. But then to actually know the grammar and really do the study, I kind of,
So that's when you move on to another language.
yeah.
Okay, so, let's start bang up to date. You're here with us in July. I think we're only about 3 or 4 weeks after the launch of your latest book,
Yes.
which we have here, Jeremiah Born in Time, by Nigel Planer. Tell us a little bit about this.
It's a sort of comedy, sci-fi, historical, futuristic. I'm not very good at the genres of stuff, so I just shoved in as many genres as I could.
Yeah.
It's time travel. It's set in the same place because it's time but not space. So it's like if we were here, we're on the 9th floor. So if we went back 100 years, we would plummet to our deaths.
Yes.
Because this building wasn't here.
Wouldn't make much of a book, would it? I don't think.
No, not that.
Yeah.
But it's set in the same area of London near where I live, southeast London, Blackfriars and SE1. And Jeremiah finds he has the ability, he can't understand it, to go back 100 years. He goes back to 1910 in the same house. And then we also have scenes in 100 years' time, 21, 23, in that same house. And there is a link, there's a reason behind it all.
Yeah.
Which he has to find.
I see.
The future is quite fun. I enjoyed writing the future bits.
Interesting.
Because I imagined a time when there was a digital meltdown. And it all starts with a man called Geoffrey Pritchard, who goes into a pub in Bermondsey to try and order, this is in maybe 20 years' time, to order a beer.
Yeah.
So he gets out his mobile device and goes through the usual security settings, credit check, do I want cookies, menu choices, ID check, and eventually gets to click a pint of beer, please, yes. And Geoffrey Pritchard's final click is the final click.
Oh.
When the entire data of the human race disappears, he tips us into oblivion.
Oh, okay.
With this one thing, there's just too much data, and we lose all our data. So I imagined a future where we've lost all data.
Wow.
Which is great fun to imagine because memory becomes important again. Jeremiah Bourne's mum is a London taxi driver who have super memories because they've done the knowledge and they have a massive memory. And the device of inherited memory becomes the mode of time travel.
I see. Right.
Like, I don't know did you see that thing on Twitter recently, the beaver?
No, I did not.
There was a little beaver that had been brought up, saved, didn't go to its nest, never met another beaver, never saw a river, been brought up in a flat. And the first thing it did when it could walk was build a dam.
Yeah.
And it knew how to build a dam, which is something called morphic resonance. It could be called morphic resonance, like an inherited memory. And I was fascinated by that idea. And perhaps we remember more than we're aware of.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. So we've spoken about memory and we've also spoken about ideas of the future.
Yeah.
So, Nigel Planer, we're going to play a little game with you just to test your Anderson credentials. We're going to play you very brief clips of the opening titles of pretty much all of Gerry Anderson's TV series.
Right.
And I want you to tell me, shout out when you know, which of these you remember.
How quick are the clips, though?
You'll see.
Right,
Pretty quick.
Twizzle.
Oh,
no.
Well done. Good start.
Fireball Expel. No. Four Feather Fall?
Yes, very good. Okay.
Supercar.
Nice. It's all coming back.
It is.
Stand by
No.
for action.
Oh, this is
Too late.
Thunderbirds.
That's Thunderbirds.
Oh, Stingray would have been the water.
It.
Yeah.
Very quick one there. Did you miss that?
I missed that. Ooh. No, that you lost me with that
Oh,
one.
well, we're going live action now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Napoleon Solo. That was
Close.
This is an emergency.
Crikey, you lost me there with that one. And that.
We're almost there now. We're coming up to the 1990s.
Right.
Place of legend.
favored right
Probably
to
beyond your
personal
time now.
use.
Yes, I mean, I was
Yeah,
the 60s.
yeah.
I would have been watching all this.
There we
stuff.
go. Well
Isn't that
done.
funny? The
Very
later
good.
stuff
Yes,
was sort of beyond me. yeah.
exactly. So well done, Nigel. Now, I think you've got 6 there, which isn't bad.
Right.
So I'm going to just write your score here on this rather fetching little image of you.
Me as a Thunderbirds.
Exactly, just what you always wanted. And
Yeah.
I'll just place you there for the rest of the interview. Why
The
not?
thing that surprised me there was Twizzle,
Right.
because that word has not come out of my mouth
Isn't it funny?
for about
Yeah.
60 years. And I saw the picture and it went, oh, Twizzle.
Right. Yeah.
And I hadn't even
Yeah.
thought of that.
So-
So that's something way back into your
Yeah.
childhood.
Absolutely. Very often we find with our guests that it's the music that trips that memory.
the
But you're saying
music,
quite
yeah.
specifically that it was the
I was
the
able to
image.
sing one of them,
Yeah.
but I didn't know what the series was.
Yeah, great. So, well, now, which of those series do you actually kind of actively remember?
Well,
seeing?
obviously, Thunderbirds,
Yeah.
Supercar,
Yeah.
Stingray,
Yeah.
Four Feather Falls,
Right.
Twizzle.
Yeah, bizarrely.
Yes.
Do you remember anything more than that opening sequence, though? Do you remember anything of the premise?
Didn't he have a twisty neck? And
That's right.
Was he the one with the long arms?
That's it, yeah.
Yes,
it's
yes.
quite nightmarish, isn't it?
Yes, it was quite sort of
Yeah.
gruesome.
You wouldn't make it now.
No. Twizzle. Didn't it go like that?
Something like that.
Sometimes the little catchphrase tunes or the jingles
Yeah.
are it's terrifying,
Yeah.
isn't it? What goes on in your mind?
And stays there for life.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. Okay, great. So now let's move on then to your, and you touched on it there, your first Anderson memory. So let's take a look at what young Nigel Planer was watching back in 1960, I think. Let's have a look at this. Oh.
Oh my gosh. yeah.
We come a pretty long way. Funny, we ain't seen no sign of Harkenbacker yet.
Maybe we missed him.
Ain't possible.
Tex, old chap, I hate to mention this, but have you noticed the signpost?
Hey, yeah. It's been moved.
You're darn right, Rocky.
And look, there's been a buggy past here. You can see the tracks. Come on, fellas.
There we go. Very quick clip
Yeah.
from Four Feather Falls.
Feather Falls.
Yeah. So we had a very short email exchange about this, and there was something rather specific that you remembered about Tex Tucker in particular.
Tex Tucker, at one point, you obviously haven't found that,
Yeah.
but he said, shall we go down that road? And he said, no, we daren't. And that made us laugh because we daren't.
Yeah, that's right.
2 syllables.
Yeah.
And it turned into like a catchphrase with me and my younger brother.
Right.
Shall
yes.
we go there? No, we daren't.
Nice.
We daren't go.
It's very sweet because, of course, now Nicholas Parsons was Tex Tucker. I don't know if you know that.
No,
Yes,
really? Was he?
Yes.
Wow.
And just recently, we uncovered an unproduced script for Four Feather Falls that was written by Nicholas Parsons himself. It was never produced, but we had a sort of something of a performance at a convention in Leicester a couple of weeks ago. And within that, we've also read out the stage directions, of course. And there was a similar phrase which really struck me as being quite charming and old-fashioned. He spoke about the dog, and it said he barks as much as to say, thank you very much.
As much as to
Yeah,
say.
just that phrase seemed
Yeah,
really
yeah,
quite charming.
lovely,
So it's
lovely.
interesting you picked up something there from the dialogue.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything specifically that you remember about that show? Any of the other characters or so on? We saw
Well-
there Dusty the dog and
Rocky the horse in that title sequence. He talks all posh and English, and he did just then. And cut back to Tex, who says he's a thoroughbred. So it's a joke.
yeah, there you go.
And yes, I love the sort of the butler character, isn't it? It's like the English butler that
Yeah.
all American shows have. You've got to have this the English butler. So
That's
the horse, I remember. Yeah,
Now, cowboys and Indians, as we used to call them, or westerns,
yeah.
they were a mainstay of popular entertainment in the sort of 40s, 50s, and 60s, both at cinema and then on television. But what was young Nigel interested in at around that time?
Knights in armor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Aha. Is that something that's stayed with you as well?
Plastic sword fights, which I usually won against my younger brother. because he didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
It's terrible what I made him go through.
Yes.
And yeah, plastic helmets, it sort of stuck with me. The interest in history.
Yeah.
Medieval history at that age. But yeah, it's an armor.
And you sort of hit television as a viewer at just the right time. I think by 1964, 90% of UK families had a television. So they were pretty ubiquitous.
I can remember the first telly being called in. I was playing in the garden.
Yeah.
We've got a telly.
Right.
So come running in. It was a bush
with
the Bakelite knobs.
Yeah.
I don't know what year that would have been. I would have been under 8 because we moved house.
Okay.
So it would have been 53, 60. I was born in 53, so it would have been 60, 61, 62.
So round about the time that you would have been watching Four Feather Falls, I guess. Can you remember what else you were watching on this new television set?
I can remember hiding behind the sofa. There was something called The Red Grass, which was sort of thriller horrible about a kind of grass that would take over and grab you.
Right.
People would get infected by the virus of this red grass, and my elder brother was allowed to watch it, and I wasn't meant to watch it. And I snuck in while my mum was cooking supper, I think, and thought, well, I'm going to watch this thing, and it scared the jeepers out of me. And it gave me nightmares for ages.
Right.
This idea that this red grass would sting you and then get in you and infect you.
There's something about a young mind that's so impressionable.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine or think of anything that I've experienced in the last 20 years that would stay with me for the rest of my life as much as something I saw 50 years ago has stayed with me.
That's right. That's right. It stays with you kind of whether you like it or not, in a way.
Yeah.
And
that's right. And of course, at this time, the world was getting excited about the space race. Landing on the moon was a mere sort of 9 years away from Four Feather Falls. And of course, Gerry Anderson then excelled in his visions of the future, the likes of Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet and so on. So how aware of you, I guess you would be in your teens now, of the space race?
Well, saw the moon landing. I remember watching that on telly. That's like a family event.
Yes.
You go and sit and watch that.
Yeah.
And they're
walking like puppets on the moon.
Yeah, walking like puppets on the moon. I can remember that. Yes.
Yeah. And
but we were scared as well of the Cold War as well at the time. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about building bunkers and nuclear devastation.
Yes.
When I was a teenager and early teenagers, and the whole thing seemed to be, the space race was between Russia and America.
Yeah.
Yuri Gagarin, the first one up there. Remember that as well.
Yeah.
And there's a great album by Donald Fagen from Steely Dan called Nightfly, which is all set in his remembered childhood,
right,
in America.
Yeah.
There's lots of songs. He's writing with maturity, but he's writing as if he's put himself back into those years.
Yeah.
It's quite cynical and funny, but it's brilliant songs.
Interesting you mentioned the Cold War there and sort of the fear of the other, because I think that was sort of began to be expressed also in Gerry Anderson's work when we get to the likes of Captain Scarlet, who's standing behind you, and Captain Black and the Mysterons. This existential threat to the human race is kind of an expressional manifestation of exactly, I think, what you've described there.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you went to school, I read, with Stephen Polyakov, is that right?
The playwright
Yeah.
and director. Yes, I did. We it was great he was already there when I got there, and it was great to find someone who had my same interests as me.
Sure. And so looking back, do you get an impression that there were certain people that you met along the way that were kind of linchpins in your career or in the way your life then developed?
Yes, because it must be the same for anybody. If you've got an interest in something, you immediately latch onto the person who's, especially because we didn't have internet. So if you were into a certain type of music, if you read about the early days of the Rolling Stones or whatever, that it was really important to meet someone who said, well, I've heard of a blues album that you know. And so meeting someone who was into a theatre and who knew the same stuff that I knew, very, very important.
Yes.
Because that's how you would find out. I was thinking about this recently. How did we find out? I bought things when they first came out.
Yeah.
How did I know?
Yeah. Fanzines, magazines, I don't know.
Was it
posters?
I figured it was little things outside the record shop,
flyers.
Or outside the bookshop, flyers.
Yeah.
And flyers that were distributed. Right. But how did we find stuff out before the internet?
That's right.
But we did.
We did. Yeah, that's true. And also, why did we used to have to wait for so long to get things? I remember having to go to order records. Yes. And now you hear a record and you press a button and it's on your phone. I say you hear a record, of course, that's dating me. So what was in store for young Nigel Planer at that point? Did you have any plans? Did your family have hopes or expectations for you?
Well, yes, those are two different things.
Right.
What the family thought and what I thought.
Okay.
Yes. I was pretty much into doing what I do now from a pretty much early age, which is acting, trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And writing. When I was at school, we did they wouldn't let us into the school plays and the school magazine. We'd make our own satirical magazine, and we made our own plays. Polygraph and I wrote plays. We put them on. We acted. We direct. I was sort of doing alternative comedy, as it were, right from an early age. Joined the local amateur dramatics, and we set up a theatre workshop for younger people. So we were doing Angelico's Sport of My Mad Mother, which is pretty was something that had been on at the Royal Court, was quite radical and sort of like a punk play before its time. And we put that on at the local Amateur Dramatic Society, the young people. So
great.
Not much has changed really from about the age of 8.
Sure. You were set in stone at quite a young.
Yeah, I'm lucky like that, I think, because if you're young and you just think that's what I do, that's what I want to do. That's quite lucky. To know what you're. What'll do the trick for you?
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people don't have that.
Now, one of the joys of doing our interviews for these video podcasts is that we actually have the opportunity for our listeners and viewers to send in questions for our guests. So I would like to ask you, Nigel Planer, to dive into this rather lovely Space 1999 lunchbox.
Right. Will they all be testing my knowledge of the Thunderbirds
not all
series, which may not be as sort of comprehensive as it should be?
Well, let's find out. Pop your hand in there and take a question from one of our viewers. And the winner is?
Oops. Oh, blimey, right.
Yeah.
Which series would you like to write an episode for? It's from Matthew Mayhew.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Which series would you like to write an episode for? In fact, I did write an episode for this series and they didn't want it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
Is there an NDA on this information or are you
No. It was Doctor Who.
Was it?
I wrote, before I'd written Jeremiah Bourne Time Travel, I did a Doctor Who show again, like in Stadia, like we did at Wembley and stuff.
Yes.
I played Vorgensen, the son of Vorgen,
of course,
who captures
Icelandic, was he,
the Doctor. I don't know where he's from, but he captures the Doctor as a hologram, and he's a baddie. But you don't realise he's a baddie until the halfway through. All the other cast were playing monsters, and I got to play. I had a big laser glove.
Great.
That I could destroy people with. Oh, it was great. Absolutely loved doing that. And I met Murray Gold, who wrote the music.
Yeah.
I got to do dialogue with Matt Smith.
Oh, yeah.
He'd already pre-recorded, so I had to time myself exactly with Matt. And I got quite into the whole Doctor Who thing,
Yeah.
the ethic of it.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a story that I thought would be great, not really taking into account how much Doctor Who's become in many different ages, and there's big, long relationships between various characters who return and all of that. I just wrote a story that I liked. And they looked at it. I got quite a nice reader's report back saying, nice try.
Wow.
But it wasn't totally dismissive. It was kind of, this all works, but it's not for us.
Oh, okay.
But
so
I did get quite keen on the idea of writing those kind of stories.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jeremiah Bourne came before that experience, but you obviously have an
Jeremiah Bourne's been
time travel
growing for a while.
Yeah.
And I wrote some versions of the book, a couple of drafts, which weren't really working early on.
Yeah.
And then I was working for Big Finish, doing Doctor Who audios, was another contribution to my Doctor Who phase, which you've worked for, haven't you?
Yeah.
Big Finish, great fun.
Yeah.
And I was working for them, I think, on an H.G. Wells thing.
Yes.
And I showed them the drafts, thinking, well, what do I do with this? That it's not working as a book yet. And they said, well, we'll do a 4-hour dramatization of it, which also exists.
Ah, okay.
But it's very different from the book.
I see.
Because to do a Big Finish, it's got kind of music, and it's fully cast. It's got a comedy cast.
Yeah.
But they went for the more racing science fiction aspect.
Yeah.
Whereas the book that I've done is more of a comedy. It's like a Terry Pratchett-esque type thing, where the characters are funnier in the book.
Yeah.
And also the whole world of the future doesn't really exist in the audio dramatization.
Yeah.
So they're different products.
Yeah.
But that was one of the most fun things I've ever done. Working with Tim McInerney was in it, Sophie Thompson, Chris Ryan, Celia Imrie. We had just the most incredible cast.
Great.
And I got to play the baddie.
They're always fun.
Which was, more fun.
Take another question.
Oh,
from the
more
lunchbox.
than one.
Yeah.
That's it. You mean I'm not done?
You're not done yet.
Right.
We're getting value out of you today.
Do you know I'm going to have to get my specs?
I thought I printed them quite large.
They are large, but not large. There we are. Oh, right. This is from Tabitha Hoop.
Oh, yes.
Who mentions the Discworld books, actually.
Yeah.
Because I did all the audio books, unabridged audios. But her question is, which one-time, even cameo role has been your favourite to portray? I asked, thinking of roles along a similar vein to Death in Paradise or even the Prime Minister in M.I. High.
Oh, yes, you did those, did you?
I've forgotten about the Prime Minister in M.I. High.
I mean, talking of cameo roles, I came across you in an episode of Sherlock Holmes, the Granada series, with Jeremy Brett playing Inspector Hopkins, I think.
Yeah, Jeremy Brett. I got to work with the great Jeremy Brett. And Charles Gray, who everyone in the hotel said, "Oh, you're right, Sir Charles." They thought he was a knight because he behaved like one. It was fantastic.
So which of those sort of guest roles was
cool? I don't know. I did enjoy doing Death in Paradise.
Did you go to?
I did go to
Guatemala.
Guadeloupe, and it's it would be wrong to say that was my favourite role, but it was my favourite job.
I can imagine,
because it's a wonderful gig. Yeah, it's a marvelous gig to do that. Cameo role. What cameo role? Do you know, I can't. I'm sorry, I've gone blank. It's very nice of Tabitha Hoop to mention Death in Paradise and the Prime Minister in M.I. High.
That'll do. Nice holiday in the sun on the beach and doing a bit of filming.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I like to do is roles. It's sometimes you can read a script, you must feel the same. You say, I can't see myself in this, but it's an offer, so I may do it or may not, or whatever. And some roles come up and you say, no, that's me. I can do that.
Yeah.
There's nobody else who'd be more right than me.
That's right.
And they're quite rare.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter then if they're a big role
Yeah.
or a small role.
Yeah.
It's just when the feeling's right.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to define what that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Fair enough. Let's just have one more from the box then, and then we'll move on with some more
Sorry to have
questions.
not to think of some
that's
other
all right.
incredibly interesting thing to say. Alex Pass said, which is the more challenging, either as an actor or a writer, comedy or sci-fi? P.S. Will there be Jeremiah Born in Time Series 2?
Oh.
So the answer to the P.S. is probably not Series 2. What I'm hoping to do is an audio book of this one, like an unabridged one that I'd read.
Yeah.
And this is the first of a trilogy. I've got the second one planned.
Right.
The third one, I'll see where I go. But I'm going to start on the second one shortly.
Ah, fantastic.
And write the second book.
Yeah. And how long would that take? How long were you allowing yourself
well,
to
the first
write?
one took about 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it'll be a bit quicker than that.
Yeah. Keep them waiting. That's what I was saying.
Yes. The actual to get a first draft of, I don't know, 5 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
To get the first draft.
Yeah.
And then you keep doing drafts.
Right.
But each new draft won't take that long.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, as you know, you write a whole series of books.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yes.
How long does it take you?
I can write a book in 3 months. Yeah.
Pretty good.
I have done over lockdown. I was doing so there's not much else to do, frankly.
Yeah.
So it's
and how many do you then go back and redraft many
times?
Yeah,
not many times. No, as few as I can get away with. But, it always deserves a second and perhaps a third look, I think.
And you need some trusted. I was reading Stephen King's book on how he does it. He spends about 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
Then he won't do anything for a while.
Right.
Then he gives it to. He's got 3 friends, including I think his wife.
Yeah.
Who he trusts to give feedback.
Yeah.
And then he'll do a whole other draft based on what they say, and a whole. He really doesn't. It doesn't just come easy to Stephen King, so that gave me hope.
Absolutely right, exactly.
And the more challenging, either as an actor or as a writer, comedy, that's the actual question, which we'd better answer. Either as an actor or as a writer, comedy or sci-fi. Comedy is the thing for me, and therefore the book is a sci-fi book, but doing both at once is the best thing.
Is the sci-fi almost incidental to the comedy, or the other way around, would you say, in that instance?
I think, like with music and comedy, you try and make them hand in hand so they don't upstage each other, so that they work in tandem. You know? I think that's the game.
Yeah. All for now for our viewers' questions, but I'd like to now move on to one of my favourite characters, and I think last time we worked together I confessed as much to you, and I've got a clip to play for you, which is it's rather appropriate to what we find ourselves talking about now, so just have a look at this.
Greetings from the 5th dimension. I come in peace, yes, but also in the interest of maintaining the very highest standards of performance. This masterclass is about the art, possibly the science, of sci-fi and outer space acting. Now, I think it's generally accepted that acting is the hardest job in the world, but it's also the hardest job in a great many other worlds besides, and indeed whole galaxies not yet discovered. The sci-fi repertoire is simply vast, and it requires the performer to tackle anything from a Time Lord to a humorous robot to a blob of alien jelly. All the more important, then, that you mine every line of text with the truth and really get under a character's skin. If you're lucky enough to have one, of course. When I played Gonarth in Riddle of the Thargans, of course, I didn't. I had a sort of scaly carapace with a striped fur head and 2 tentacles here, actually, which made every meal break a potential cosmic catastrophe.
Now, Nigel, firstly, I love Nicholas Craig. Secondly, that rather hit home because I've been there.
Yes.
So I was in Space Precinct, a Gerry Anderson show, which is really why I'm here. Yes. And I often tell a story about, we were in prosthetic makeup. I was playing an alien police officer. Yeah. And of course, at lunch, we would have a tuna sandwich. And the latex rubber would be falling away from our mouths by this point. So a little bit would fall down as you went. And then, of course, it would all be glued up after lunch to do the rest of the scenes in the afternoon. So that really hit home.
Yes. I'm a big pal of mine is Robert Llewellyn, who played Crichton in Red Dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to tell me, because he's in latex throughout, he just moaned about it. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But they used to put him in the hot summer, they'd put him in the freezer at lunch break. And he didn't have that problem because he was only allowed liquids from a straw. Once he was in the latex, that was it. So he couldn't socialise with the other. He was shoved in a freezer.
You've forgotten about
with
this.
a milkshake. You know?
Great.
And I think it was a pretty tough job, that one for him.
Now, one of the things I've grown to love about Nicholas Craig is that he's aging with you and he's aging with us. I know you did the podcast last year.
Yeah, that's right.
So how close under the skin is he?
Very close.
Yeah,
It's very close. It's that's my favourite thing, is to make it. Is not to be sent a script, but to sort of have a character that comes from your own flaws. Mm-hmm. And Neil was that from the Young Ones, sort of based on my own experiences. Mm-hmm. And Nicholas Craig, having been to drama school and everything, but it's also Nicholas Craig's a shared project with Christopher Douglas, who is the co-writer director. He's the sort of genius behind it. Right. He plays Ed Reardon on the radio.
Okay, yeah,
and writes it.
Yeah,
and he had a theatrical upbringing. Both his parents and step-parent, all actors, and it was. He left school early. He played the cheeky waiter in Crossroads when he was young.
What a credit.
He's done, he and I both have past youths in theatre. So when we met, it was another one of those people we were talking about, where you meet someone who's quite pivotal.
Yeah.
You think, no, this will click. And we found we shared the same sort of sense of humour.
Yeah.
Chris's sense of humour is even more cruel than mine, so it gets quite vicious at times, I think.
Yeah, but lovely. I think I remember saying to you once that actually I wanted to grow up like and be Nicholas Craig when I was young and at drama school.
Yes.
And here I am sitting opposite him. There you go.
Yeah. No,
That's right.
The amount of taking oneself so seriously is what. And I was working while we were filming. I remember once we were filming Nicholas Craig, and I was turning up later out, than the others, because I had another job, an acting job.
Yeah.
And I'd come in moaning about the other job, as all actors moan.
Yeah.
That's the collective noun for actors is a whinge, a whinge of actors. And so I was having my normal lunch break whinge, and Chris is giggling, Christopher Douglas, because he's writing it down he's just
perfect.
Writing down what I said.
That's
and
material.
Putting it in the script. Yes.
Yeah, great. Lovely. Oh, now that sound, Nigel, means that it's time to present you with your quick-fire 5. I'm going to ask you 5 either/or questions from the Gerry Anderson universe.
Right.
You need to quickly answer as quick as you can. Okay,
Right,
you ready for these?
I'm ready. I'm
right.
ready.
Firstly, you need a mode of transport. So, do you take Sheriff Tex Tucker's talking horse, Rocky, or Lady Penelope's Fab 1 Rolls Royce?
Fab 1.
Oh, right. Click off the mark. Who would you prefer to keep you company as you write the next Jeremiah Bourne book? Stingray's Aquamarina or Thunderbirds' Brains?
Brains, even though it's tempting.
Yes.
I think you'd be more help.
Fair enough. Which moment of Gerry Anderson history would you love to witness for real? Humankind making contact with the Martians in Captain Scarlet, or the Moon breaking away from Earth's orbit in Space 1999?
The former, the Martians. The Moon breaking away sounds a bit
very dramatic. Yeah. Pick a thief to rehabilitate. Ruthless Ed Viney from Jeremiah Bourne in Time, or reformed bank robber and chauffeur to Lady Penelope, Aloysius Parker, milady.
I didn't know he was a bank robber.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll go for that one.
You go for Parker?
Yes. Although Ed Viney in Jeremiah Bourne is a very funny villain.
Sounds like a nasty piece of work.
He is a nasty piece of work. He's almost incomprehensible. His Cockney is so thick that Jeremiah has to keep stopping him and saying, "I'm sorry, what did you say? You sound like you're from the movies or something."
Lovely. And finally, you have to choose a colour from the Dulux paint range, and become a Spectrum agent from Captain Scarlet. So, are you Captain Frosted Dawn or Lieutenant Sandy Steps?
Oh, Sandy Steps.
I can see, I knew you were going to say that.
Come on.
Well done, Nigel. That's your quick fire five. Now, just before we go, just time for you to say where we can get Jeremiah Born in Time, the book, which has been out for 3 or 4 weeks. Where can we find that?
You can find it in bookshops. I always go these days. You can get it in Amazon, same as no, but these days there's something called hive.co.uk or hive.com. No, hive.co.uk or bookshop.org. Okay. And those are like Amazon. You can order online, but the good thing is they're connected up to all the local bookshops, so you can choose your own local bookshop, and you're not putting bookshops out of business.
Yeah.
So I'd suggest Hive or bookshop.org.
Brilliant.
Just a better way of ordering online, personally.
And finally, where can our viewers and listeners find you online? Do you have any social media that we could follow you at?
Oh, I've got a website, nigelplaner.co.uk, which I try and keep up to date with news.
Yeah.
I'm on X.
Oh, yes, as it is now.
It's called X now, isn't it? But it's still got, does that mean we X?
I don't know.
I just tweeted. No, I didn't tweet. I X'd.
Not sure.
It doesn't sound right, does it?
No, not really.
Anyway, so I'm on that, Nigel Planer 1.
Okay.
I do have an Instagram, Nigel Planer 1, but I think the last time I put a thing up there was about 3 years ago.
Great.
And apart from that, there is a Facebook, the official Nigel Planer Facebook page, which is run by a guy called Ben Hill.
Yeah.
And he shoves everything in there, particularly to do with bad news, because he's a big bad news fan.
Great.
And I've also got recently, I'm on Patreon.
Oh, yes. I meant to mention that, yes.
It's really cool, that, because I found all of my archive of bits and pieces, some never broadcast, and anything I've ever done virtually.
Yeah.
And I converted it from CDs and videos digitally.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I got
it done. Yeah.
Had it done
Yeah.
digitally. And I'm putting it all up on my Patreon account gradually. Each week I try and remember to put some new piece up.
Yeah. Great.
And if you're a big Nicholas Craig fan, I've got a YouTube channel where I've put most of Nicholas Craig's on the YouTube channel as well. But there's some never broadcast bits of Nicholas Craig on my Patreon account.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us this week. For next week, we're going to be talking about bad news and comic strip and Young Ones, of course, and other parts of your illustrious career. Thank you so much for joining us. Will you come back to Slough again next week and sit opposite me on the table?
I think I can manage that, yes.
Don't forget to pat Station Jim on the head as you pass.
Look out for Station Jim.
Right. Thanks so much for joining us. Nigel Planer, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I have to say, what a thrill to have Nigel Planer on the podcast.
Quite the coup.
Quite the coup, I know.
How did you manage that?
Well, worked with him, oh boy.
Oh, I see.
A couple of times as it happens.
Gosh.
Yeah. And interesting, he was talking there in the first part of his interview, second part next week, of course. He was quite surprised by quite how much was buried in that the brain of his, the old memory, the old noggin, old Gerry Anderson memories that he didn't even know he had.
People often are, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's only once they start
Yeah.
imagining themselves watching it or start picking and pulling at threads.
Yes, exactly.
They'll suddenly reveal a whole extra bit.
Indeed, but I have to say, quite a disappointing result on the old
Only 6?
super identification.
Wow. Nigel.
It's a shame, isn't it?
I mean,
He let himself down.
feels like less of a coup suddenly, doesn't it?
It does, rather. Now, but talking of coups, would you
Yeah.
like to go to Facebook? Coup.
Yes.
Talking of coups, perhaps, no, I'll get it, don't worry. Talking of coups, perhaps you will say coup when you hear some of our Facebook messages from our wonderful Podsterons.
I almost certainly will say that.
Now, firstly, Daniel Ross Dudley commented, is anyone else hoping from with Anderson Entertainment picking up distribution rights to Space Patrol that they might get the rights to Jerry's back catalogue from Four Feather Falls all the way up to New Captain Scarlet? Pretty please.
Cool.
There you go. Told you.
What a Facebook message.
Yeah. Possible? Impossible.
Well, I'm glad that you've noticed that we've picked up the rights to Space Patrol.
Yes.
That was a very lovely conversation with Roberta Lee's son, where we both agreed that both Dad and his mum would disapprove of this, which was the best reason to do it.
Let's do it then. How funny. Really.
Yeah, but
Really.
it's kind of lovely that, you kind of they weren't that fond of each other.
Yeah.
So to bring it all under the same roof feels like the right thing to do.
What's the lovely quote of hers from Life Uncharted of your dad?
Oh, an evil man, was
That's
that the
it.
one? I
Yeah.
mean, there were actually quite a lot in those rushes of saying not very nice things. But anyway, we let bygones be bygones, don't we? So we are taking back the catalogue items that were ours anyway,
Right.
which includes New Captain Scarlet,
Yes.
and a few other titles, and we'll be reversioning those and putting those out very, very soon. I would love to do more because we want to just keep the availability there because, you know, some people say, oh, DVD and Blu-rays in the winter of its life.
Oh, I tell you
But
what,
I
though.
I don't agree.
Because you know what's happening? The streamers are taking lots of content offline.
Yep.
Or they're changing it.
Yes.
So physical media is actually the only way of being safe and having something that's yours forever.
Exactly. Yeah, I do think it's going to take a few licenses to be pulled from a few major streaming services, and people will lose access to their content for a bit of a resurgence in the world of physical media.
Yeah.
So yes, I think there's more to come. We'd like to do more, and there's definitely some interesting stuff coming later in the year and early next year.
Great. Excellent.
That'll do.
Next.
Oh, Tabitha Hoop.
Oh, yes.
Tabitha says, yesterday I ended up having a friend round to introduce her to the worlds of Anderson, which I've talked to her so much about.
Good.
She's a good sport, bless. It was her idea, and one I'm sure she now regrets. Lol. Oh dear, Tabitha. It doesn't sound like you're doing a great job ambassadorially here, but let's see.
Yeah.
It did give me a good excuse to crack out all my memorabilia, which included some new editions, 1992 Thunderbirds, that appeared on my shelf the other night after work.
Okay.
Mysteriously, perhaps.
Wow.
I think my dad might have been to one of his toy and train fairs. Oh, well, that's nice of them to gift you something there, isn't it?
Yes.
Although she would never watch them seriously.
What? Is there any other way to watch them?
I don't know.
Oh.
We both had a good laugh and an enjoyable day while also doing a very difficult Batman jigsaw.
Right.
Well,
sounds like a good
there's the
day's work.
crossover we weren't expecting. She's far from joining the fandom, as I think casual viewing is enough for her. But we did both agree on a few things.
Oh, yes.
The music slaps.
Doesn't it?
And she now understands why so many people buy the soundtracks. Makes sense.
Yeah.
The future fashions are, shall we say, entertaining.
Yeah, we could say that.
It's a mighty shame that I do not have a Thunderbirds jigsaw.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, you could remedy that, surely.
Easily remedied.
Yeah.
Replace that Batman one.
Yeah.
And that we should do it again.
Oh.
So perhaps a repeat episode for Tabitha and her casual viewing of Anderson.
Viewing of Anderson. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Andrew Clements wrote, I was watching NCIS last night. One of the victims was a Jamie Anderson. Anyone care to speculate? To which Paul Hyder responded, I'd question Richard James.
I would as well.
And what could I possibly stand to gain from that?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'd get to sit in that seat, wouldn't I?
You could.
And I have Captain Scarlet behind me.
You could have my ESA polo shirt.
Yeah.
No?
No, I'm happy with
interested?
this. It's fine.
Okay, fine. Well, I'm glad I only read that after I came back from San Diego.
Yes, that's right. And you landed safely.
Yes, so thank you, AZ, for that. I've got one from Ian Stevens.
Oh, yeah.
Have to say, I love the fact that we can now watch the podcast.
Ah.
Thanks, Ian. Us too.
Great.
I was worried what the change was going to be, especially given how essential the podcast is to me. But I should not have worried. The change is superb. Seeing Jamie, Richard and Chris on screen is just wonderful.
Ah, lovely.
He's lying now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
The titles are excellent too. Yes, they are. Well done, Chris T. We love those. Well done, chaps. I shall look forward to watching more, and I can confirm that I have subscribed and clicked on the bell icon.
Oh, good.
Also, it was quite lovely to see Lee Sullivan on screen as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Lee Sullivan's right.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's great, isn't it?
It's
I understand what I think a few people were worried that we were changing things, without reason.
There were some concerns.
Yeah, there were some
but they were
wobbles.
unfounded.
They were, because we're just doing the same old rubbish. Just
Gubbins.
on screen. Gubbins is
Yeah.
the word. That's it. Yes, if you're on Facebook, then you can just search for Gerry Anderson Podcast Official Listeners Group. We call them the Podsterons, and you can join in the fun there. Willow is sort of our caretaker, really, in absentia, isn't she?
Yes.
In that we're not there to caretake.
Yes.
I think that's right. And of course, there's the Potters Arms. They have quizzes and get-togethers and meetups. And all
It's a
sorts of
super
stuff.
friendly group. Even if you're like Tabitha's friend, who's only a sort of casual viewer,
Yeah.
you'll still be welcomed with open arms.
It's true. That's right. Talking of welcoming things with open arms,
Yes.
I think it's time that Chris Dale welcomed Nigel Planer, this week's guest,
Yes.
with open arms,
Yes.
to press the button on his randomiser.
With one of his open arms.
Well, that wouldn't work, would it? It'd have to be closed arms, surely.
Well, let's see what happens.
Oh, good idea.
Good luck pressing it.
Over to you, Chris.
Hello there.
How'd you do? What's this?
I'm sure you are aware of this. You must have heard of the legends. This is the Randomiser. In here, we have every single Gerry Anderson television episode and feature film ever made. Every week, I get someone to come in and press the button. We'll get an episode for me to watch and comment on. This week, I'd like you to press the button, if you would please.
You have to be careful shaking it about.
Well, it's been broken, smashed, thrown into black holes. It keeps coming
tell
back.
me the button. Which button?
Any button. This seems to be the preferred one, but they all come out the same in
okay.
the end.
Are you ready?
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thank you. Any particular series you're hoping you might get an episode from today?
Something that I can remember.
Something that you
good,
can remember.
yes.
That would be
That
fantastic.
would be great.
Well, it now seems that we have an episode from... Right. Now, here's what we're going to do.
Right.
You're going to come back next week and you're going to have another go.
What's wrong with this one?
This one,
Yeah.
this is an episode of Torchy the Battery Boy.
I can remember
You
that.
can remember that?
I can
well,
remember
then
the
you should be
theme
watching
tune.
this instead of me.
Torchy.
That's the
I
one.
can remember that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gosh,
yeah.
I wish you were here to do
No,
it
we're
instead
okay
of me
with
now.
Torchy.
Yes. Well, if you're okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. I think the viewers at home might be okay though.
Right.
But regardless, I think you've done your duty here for today. So if
I'm done, am I?
You're
I can
done.
go.
Yes, you can go and stand in the
Right,
naughty
okay.
corner for a week. I don't know.
Torchy the battery boy, I'm a walkie-talkie toy.
Oh dear. I suppose it had to come. What tedious gobbet of plot have we got this week? What chunk of the Torchy saga can we possibly have left to cover? Let's find out as we watch. Torchy is saved at last. Thank God. I was worried. I've been worried for the lad.
Torchy and Mr. Bumbledrop were working in the garden.
Oh, okay.
Torchy didn't come
Is
down
Torchy in danger yet?
this time.
Oh,
He
no?
was blown down by a big wind.
Okay. And the less said about that, the better.
Pom-Pom would fly down in my rocket and take me back to Topsy-Turvy Land.
Maybe
Torchy sounds very aggressive already this week.
Then why don't they send another toy?
They know the show is named after me, damn it!
Clinker the money box, what's happening?
Okay, yeah.
Magic
Talk
beam
to the-
that is so
Wait,
bright.
what? I thought the beam was used to search for things.
On dear old Clinker the money box.
The Scottish money box, by the way. I didn't realise it was a communication device. See, the more we learn, the less I know when it comes to Torchy.
Gets brighter, it'll shine all the way up to the twinkling star.
I wonder who'd win in a beam off between Torchy and the Hood's eyes.
The pile of money in Fruit Town is getting rather small, so I want to see...
That's because I've been eating it, because I do that, don't I? Oh no.
Oh, what's that light in my eyes?
Oh, that's Torchy, of
Why,
course.
it's Torch's magic beam.
Which we're just now... Why is it settling on my crotch? What's going on?
Rocket to save me.
I thought somebody would do something for me.
Thunderbirds instead.
Oh,
Haven't they arrived yet?
oh no, have they been
No,
lost?
they haven't. I'll have to ask my magic beam what's happened to them. Goodbye,
then-
Clinker.
Oh,
Goodbye.
I hope that's the only contact I have with you this week.
Magic beam that is
So, it sounds like the rocket was on its way and it's been diverted.
So dancing beam, shine round and round.
And this is where we find it's been pulled into a black sun or some other kind of Space 1999 space anomaly. Where could it be?
Battery inside him. Where's your beam shining to this time, Torchy?
Oh, only to the 7th level of hell, Bumbledrop, old chap.
But you can't see the moon during the day.
I can.
So shut up.
It's magic, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
And I can see
Ah.
a windmill made of cheese.
Torchy, I think your battery might be running down if that's what you're seeing. You're hallucinating, old chap. Oh, what is that?
Funny smell it must have.
Yes.
Cheddar cheese grass.
Of
And a
course,
cream
yes.
cheese pond.
Oh,
I'd better go inside the windmill and see who's there.
yes. Oh, no.
King Dithers and the pelican bird are lying
Why?
in bed.
Why?
Don't take up so much room, Your Majesty.
Oh, that's not what you were saying last night.
Why, it's Polycam. Oh dear.
Why are they in bed together?
What a lovely sleep I've had.
What is happening?
Wake up, bird. It's morning already, and
Where's the Moon Man for all of this? Unless there was some kind of, three-way arrangement, shall we say.
I had to shine extra brightly. Now get out of bed. I want to go to sleep.
I never knew there was a real man in the moon.
I thought you did, because I'm fairly sure we covered that episode. And I never knew that King Dithers was having an affair with the Birdman.
The sun is shining in my eyes.
Oh, dear.
It's all your fault, King Dithers. I told
You invented the sun, apparently.
and not during the day. Yes, I know that.
But he's King Dithers. He gets mixed up.
The moon won't come out.
No?
And you've got to have a moon.
You have.
Don't you remember?
I never cease to be amazed by this show's capacity to throw new and unsettling characters at me. I don't believe I've been introduced to the bird-like gentleman who's going,
Put them on, and then no matter how brightly the sun shines during the day, you'll be able to go to sleep in the dark.
Okay. Well, all this hysterical laughter aside, I do hope Torchy is saved soon from this terrible situation that we find himself in.
To see it all.
Find him in, even.
Oh, it's so funny. Look.
Okay, that is genuinely quite funny. Insert name of whatever pop star you think he looks like here.
It's black.
Well, it shouldn't be. It should be a bit further up your nose there, old chap.
Now you'll be able to go to sleep.
And we'll find another bed somewhere to continue doing whatever it was we were doing.
Night.
So, good night, Moon. This very stylish jacket. I've just noticed that.
Come on, Your Majesty. Let's go to our rocket and fly down to Earth to get Torchy.
Uh-huh. Why did you stop? So you basically stopped for a nap. I think it's been established in previous episodes that the distance between Topsy-Turvy Land and Earth is not that far, so they really shouldn't have had to stop off at the moon.
But when they come down to Earth, they're ordinary.
Oh, that's right. I was forgetting the premise of the series, Torchy.
I'm afraid so.
Well, I'll have to come back to Topsy-Turvy Land.
I wish you would.
Yes, this is a series-long arc. They were always threatening for Bumbledrop to go back to Topsy-Turvy Land, and he never did until the final episode.
Boots as well.
Hey, that's a good idea. But she's been good for a long, long time. So you can take her up to the Twinkling Star and give her a big party.
Oh, goody.
Oh, yes, I'm sure the other toys would enjoy doing that for
But
her.
Bossy Boots was being naughty again.
Oh, no.
She'd been in bed for a week with a cold and a cough.
Well, she should be strung up for that. Oh, yes, here's her mother.
Hello, Mummy.
Hello, Mummy.
Temperature again.
Yes, I have. Now, keep it there until I come back. I just go to the cupboard and get your medicine and cough sweets.
Okay. I've had to see a lot of
Oh, dear.
Away!
I
Away!
can't understand why Bossy Boots has such a high temperature.
Yes, away.
Seems all right, and she's eating just as well as ever. It's very strange.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, that was quite a... I'm used to unpleasant human characters in this show, but...
On my hot water bottle. Aren't I clever?
Well, either you're very clever or your mother's very stupid.
And I'll take it into my little darling.
I would say the latter.
Oh, but I can hear Mummy coming back. So I better put the thermometer in my mouth again.
I'll put your medicine in a glass, so you drink it all up.
A whole jar of medicine.
Mummy.
Oh, I'd forgotten. I'll go and fetch them.
What? Sweets?
Aren't Mummy silly?
Oh, Bossy Boots, you were doing so well. You were on the road to recovery. We were going to throw you a party, but alas, You're being naughty again. So presumably she's doing this to get out of school.
Those cough drops.
I'd love to know what school is like in the world of topsy-turvy, well, not just topsy-turvy land, but Roberta Lee. Must be a very pleasant from the outside and yet deeply strict and sinister on the inside.
I love taking them because they taste like black currants.
Oh, and you've eaten 2 tins in 3 days. Well, I don't think you should have any more, darling.
No.
Because you haven't got a cough now.
Oh, yes, I have.
So she's just lying in bed eating tinned sweets.
Darling, your cough seems to have come back. I'll leave the tin here, and you can help yourself.
Oh, what fun it is to stay in bed.
Doing absolutely nothing. I don't even have a TV. Oh no, there he is.
Good gracious.
I'm here to teach you the meaning of sin, Bossy Boots.
Land with me because Mr. Bumbledrop said you were a good girl and all the toys were going to give a party for you.
Mom! Mom! The toys are alive again! Oh, she is calling for her as well. Oh.
Of course you can't have your clothes.
Oh, okay, so her mum's just going to go along with it.
And a bad cough, and you must stay in bed.
And I'm cooking your clothes by the look of it.
I haven't got a temperature and I haven't got a cough.
Of course you have. I took your temperature myself, and I heard you coughing.
Oh, dear. What can I do, Torchy?
Yeah, we're only a few minutes from the end of this. I'm still waiting for Torchy to get himself into some kind of bother that he needs to be saved from.
But I want to go to Topsy-Turvy Land and have a party. I wouldn't take you now. You better behave yourself and...
You probably would take her and teach her another lesson. That's what you enjoy the
When
most.
Torchy got back to Mr. Bumbledrop's garden, he saw that the rocket had landed.
Well,
Oh, how wonderful.
I'll just go on and lecture them for keeping me waiting.
Oh, dear.
They're dead again.
The King Dithers and Polican are ordinary toys now.
Oh, dear.
How funny.
How funny that I'm the only one of my friends who enjoys sentience.
Oh, what fun.
It's not fun. That is actually quite disturbing, seeing them slumped over the controls like that.
There won't be room for you to sit in the top of the rocket with me, Mr. Bumbledrop.
Oh dear, how sad. Never mind, Torchy.
Pillow and sleep on the floor.
Are you sure you'll be all right?
Perfectly.
Oh. Okay.
How lovely to be going back home again.
Oh, I'm alive again. Okay.
Because you were very rude to me before.
Well, granted, well deserved. What are you going to do to him? Yes. Oh, this has taken a turn. I'm enjoying this now. Okay, right.
Fat old bird.
Well, sudden violence against Torchy. I'm here for this. Very unexpected. Don't look at us, please. Yeah, this show rarely actually calls Torchy out for being a nasty piece of work.
They're sunglasses. They're sunglasses, man in the moon.
What's going on now?
Take them off. He's almost as dithery as I am.
Okay. Well,
Torchy.
that's that over with. Like a rotting tooth being pulled out by the dentist, we're down another one. That was Torchy is saved at last. I have to question the title. I was expecting at least, I don't know, for him to be plucked from the jaws of an alligator or something. What did he need to be saved from? So, on the whole, more Torchy stuff. It's kind of like what you'd get if you threw, asked an AI to generate a Torchy episode. It was just bits of stuff we're familiar with. Bossy Boots is naughty, but we're going to throw a party and then we're not. Torchy is now on his way back to Topsy-Turvy Land. God knows why he came here in the first place. And it all ends with, well, the rather trippy visual of the moon wearing sunglasses. That was a bit weird. But also some unprovoked but long overdue violence against Torchy. So, yeah, worth it for the last 2 minutes. More like that, please.
Well, I mean, Chris was, he did sterling work there, didn't he?
He did. Well done, Nigel, for
Choosing
torturing
torture.
Chris.
We love it, don't we? Yes. I mean, it's always fun to see torture. At least he's got them out of the way, isn't it? It's another one done. That's what I would
Is that
think.
fun?
I think it's interesting to see, in hindsight, what we know as the Gerry Anderson genre, where that came from.
Yes.
Where it started.
Yes.
What the origins were.
Yes.
How it changed.
Yes.
Developed.
Yes.
Improved.
Yes. Good, I agree. But my favourite thing is the fact that we can now actually watch Chris
Yeah.
as his face contorts while having to watch torching.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy, was he? No. That's all for now. But remember, Chris will be back next week.
Yeah, he will be, but so will we.
Oh, yes, I
and
will be
so
here
will
too.
Nigel Planer.
Yes, let's get the gang back together.
Okay,
and
fine.
do the show right here.
All right, then, if you insist.
That'll be pod 269 of the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Gosh.
So if you're not doing anything else, if you don't have anything better planned, perhaps you could join us.
Well, when you say it like that, unless they've got every minute of their lives for the next week planned, then they can make time for it.
I think they can, yes. That's exactly
Good.
what I'm saying.
Great.
All right.
Then we'll see you in 269.
See you then. Bye.
Goodbye.
Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Tell us about San Diego.
Well, I had a breakfast on the Monday morning.
Not the food.
Which was actually...
Oh, go on.
I had a main meal.
Yes.
Which was a corned beef hash,
Right.
two fried eggs,
Yes.
3 buttermilk pancakes, and then I had sides
Yeah.
of...
Sorry, is this breakfast?
Yeah. Thick cut bacon,
Yeah.
sausage patties,
Yeah.
orange juice,
Yeah.
coffee.
Right. How long were you there?
What, in that restaurant that
No,
morning?
I mean overall, how long were you in San Diego?
5 days.
Did you have that breakfast every day?
3 of the days.
3 of the day.
I know. It was amazing. But yeah, that's why I only had a salad for lunch today, you see.
Did you have to have a 10-metre exclusion zone around you for the rest of the day?
I should have that at all times.
And were you on panels or?
Yes, I had a panel for a completely non-Anderson thing.
Oh, yes.
And then hovered around, rubbing shoulders with all sorts of interesting people, writers and that sort of
Yeah.
things. Obviously, most of the actors were not there. And most of the writers were not there, but lots of kind of animation kids and non-US writers. It was really fascinating.
I hope you mentioned the podcast.
Of course.
Copious time.
I had the leaflets with me.
Did you?
I heavily leafleted San Diego Comic-Con.
Excellent. Right, that's probably added another couple of viewers to the...
Tell you what,
Yes.
why don't we go for next year,
Right.
Gerry Anderson podcast live at San Diego Comic-Con?
It's something to aim for, isn't it? Do we need a Kickstarter for this?
No, there's no Kickstarter. That's what we're going
Right.
to do.
All right. Okay.
You heard it here first, Podsterons.
Wow. All right.
Let's go and start working on that.
I look forward to the breakfast. That was an Anderson Entertainment production.